Anyhow.
That's right.
Yeah. Should we talk about...
We should.
This is going to be a WWE-centric program because of the Survivor Series happened over the weekend. But we got to check in with our friends over in Conland because I feel bad for him kind of at this point because they got to smoking the hopium. They got way too big for their britches, bit off more than they could chew, as Mama Cornette used to say. And they've adjusted their buildings down, as we talked about on the last show, you know, where they're running smaller arenas or the secondary building in the market, but something that what they're drawing currently looks better in that building than it does in the 20,000 seaters. But they announced that stadium show in Australia. You knew where I was going with this. They announced that, last summer, right? We're going to do our first stadium show in Australia.
Did they announce it at All In, or was it right before All In? It was around the London Stadium show, wasn't it?
It's somewhere at that particular point in time. But how far, by the way, is Australia's a long way from anywhere, and I'm not disparaging our fans down under because we got them down there. But they're not close to anything. How far is it if the fans in the UK, is that a leg up on America, or is it just as far?
What now? What did you ask?
I'm asking you, is it just as far if the fans in the United Kingdom, who have proven that they went to Wembley, they love the stadium atmosphere, is that just like
It's still far. Oh, yeah.
Is that for them like flying from New York to goddamn Miami, or is that still a goddamn round the world thing? Is it like it is from the United States, which I understand from people who've done that is like 18 hours or more, depending on where you start out.
It may be slightly less, but yeah, it's a big, long, day-long flight to the land down under.
So the point is, they announced this thing, our first stadium show in Australia, and we pontificated on how many fucking places they got in Australia with a stadium. Turns out they have several, but that our Australian fans chimed in and said, well, you know, we know about AEW because we're kind of really dedicated wrestling fans, but it's not like they're household names over here. And then they also announced at the same time they announced they were going to that building in Arlington, Texas, which seated like 1,500 people or whatever for that little residency. They also announced they were coming to the goddamn stadium in Texas. It's going to be our first stadium show in Texas. Like there had been a petition from the...
Yeah, right after those Arlington shows, too. We've shown everyone we can get 1,200 people here every week. We're going to really go for it now. Texas Stadium.
Yeah. So, and actually, it's not Texas Stadium anymore, is it? They've got a new one now, like they do everywhere, but it's a stadium in fucking the Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan area. And so anyway, now we said last week, but maybe you can, do you know by this point what, I guess it's out there, I just haven't cared, what the arena is in Australia that is now taking the place of the stadium show in Australia? We announced on one of the programs last week, if you missed it, that never mind. We're going to take this stadium show and we're going to put it indoors in a 13,000 seat building. Whatever the name of that building is.
It's the Brisbane Entertainment Center.
Is it Brisbane or Brisbane?
I'm going to pronounce it Brisbane and hope for the best.
Well, it's Birmingham. I know that much. I've been there.
The building opened in 1986 and the capacity is 13,500.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a LA Coliseum sports arena WrestleMania, the Slaughter effect. We shouldn't blame him. It was the Vince effect.
This is going from Giant Stadium to the Nassau Coliseum.
Well, that's what I was about to say with Texas. Because now I heard that the stadium show, the first thing and what's the name of the stadium now? Do we have that on the Google machine? Have you gone gaga for Google yet?
Hold on, we will have that momentarily.
But the first thing I heard was that the stadium in Dallas was going to be set up for 24,000 people. And that there's an indoor arena, I know at least one of them in Dallas-Fort Worth that seats 22,000. So a stadium for 24,000 people. But now, and Brian, maybe you can explain this to me.
Globe Life Field.
Globe Life Field. See, Texas Stadium sounded cooler than Globe Life Field. You get a fucking free life insurance policy if you buy the Skybox. The pre-sale is ongoing for this event, and they have announced that they put 15,000 tickets on sale for the pre-sale. Is that all that they're setting up for now, kind of, and then they're going to see how it goes, or what is the pre-sale from the set's kind of like the pre-show. If you're selling tickets to the goddamn event,
no,
then they're kind of on fucking sale.
No, these are not on sale. These are pre-show ticket sales. So you're buying these before they're on sale to the public.
These are only tickets for the pre-show. You got to buy another ticket to get in the regular show.
I meant pre-sale. These are pre-sale. So basically, you can't buy these tickets unless you're one of the people allowed to buy them early for the pre-sale.
Well, how do you get to be one of the people to be allowed to buy these tickets early?
You have to have some time on your hands and want to get some tickets. I mean, there's no real... I don't think it's like a lottery.
You don't have to pass a test. You don't have to win a lottery. You don't have to get the golden ticket to get a ticket. You just have to... What do you have to do?
I have here, as we are recording a couple hours ago, WrestleTix put up an update. They were, I guess, in the queue online, and there were 538 people ahead of him, or her, or whoever WrestleTix is, them.
Wait, so there were 538 people in line to get the first crack at tickets for a fucking stadium.
And according to this, 15,198 currently available.
Tickets, you're saying.
And I'm looking at earlier.
Does that indicate how many they started out with, or is this before was this pre-sale? Was this before the tickets went on sale, before the tickets go on sale?
And by the way, here's what WrestleTix wrote. The general pre-sale begins December 2nd. Tickets for All in Texas will go on sale to the public Monday, December 9th at 10 a.m. Central.
Wait a minute. Who's in the fucking public? If these... Okay, are these people that are in the pre-sale queue, as they say, across the pond, are they incarcerated somehow and they're not allowed to be part of the general population? They're members of the public.
That's what you call the casual viewer, the public.
But what, you call the casual viewer people that are watching something else. But what I'm still trying to get from you, how do you qualify to get involved in this highly sought after demand? It's like Black Thursday where they open the doors of Walmart.
It says here
the night before.
It says here from WrestleTix, and by the way, the current seating setup is for 24,171 tickets as of right now, excluding the VIP deck and the suites. For anyone who wants to come and not sit amongst the public and get a suite and pay a lot of money to sit all alone up in that suite.
Well, haven't we determined that a lot of times the suites in these buildings for AEW or a lot of other things are empty, except for people who, like corporations that just here's you work here, or our clients take these?
Well, apparently pre-sale went on sale today, but VIP pre-sale was on sale yesterday.
Oh, God damn it!
But I don't have any known results.
Okay, what are the criteria for you to become a VIP pre-buyer in order to be able to pre-buy before the regular hoi polloi can pre-buy, before the fucking regular general population can buy the pickings that's left over?
And by the way, for anyone thinking of moseying on down to Texas for this big event, what's available right now is the entire floor, sections 5 through 24, sections 104 through 124, sections 209 to 226, and sections 316 to 321. So act fast. Well, those tickets may go.
Here's a question I'm going to ask you that'll keep you busy for a minute while I can pontificate. What is the seating capacity of this stadium, if they were going to play a fucking ball game in it, or baseball or football or whatever, what is the capacity of the entire stadium, not what it's set up for. And while I still do not understand how that if you are not qualifying or meeting some kind of criteria, such as you're on their direct mailing list, or you're the winner of a lottery, or you've whatever the fuck, or you've bought a ticket to see one of their shows here recently or something, that if you're, it's a pre-sale and anybody can participate in it, then it's just the tickets going on goddamn sale.
Jim, the stadium, and this is for baseball, is 40,300 capacity, but again, AEW is offering floor seats, obviously, as anyone would nowadays. That's not included in this number. This is
how many seats you think you can get on a baseball field if you try? I guess we should ask Gotch and Hackenschmidt. But
you know what the other problem
they're
is?
They're setting it up for half a house, and the pre-sale had 538 people in line.
And we'll see how long this goes before they have to move it to something smaller, because here's the other thing. If you right now drank the Kool-Aid, if you loved everything AEW was offering you right now, what's the main event that you're sniffing for that if they gave it to you next summer would be the biggest deal? There's nothing. There's nothing on the horizon. There's just more of the same. There's nothing really big that's going to cause, Hogan and Andre, people had to go see. And I know that's an extreme example. It's maybe the most successful one ever. But what's there that's going to draw people from Texas to want to see AEW? And then what's going to cause AEW fans to fly in for this? The era of AEW fans flying in for every pay-per-view is long gone.
Well, yeah, because there's been so many of them, and there's been so many more added. And I know people hate it when we point out that we've been consistent with saying something, but before this thing started, my comment was, it's the world's biggest crowdfunding effort that has ever been, in terms of not that Tony needed the money and needed the people to buy the tickets, but in terms of they wanted to support it at the start, and that all in and all out and all in too, and the big shows and the special stuff. But what about when they're doing TV every week? I didn't know they were going to be doing TV twice a week. What about when they're doing 4 pay-per-views a year and it's been 3 years, whatever the fuck? At some point, how much money do people have? They can't continue to support a guy who they know has billions of dollars and is getting paid from the networks with their own money just because they hate the WWE and they're mad at Vince, which that's all gone away. And now you see that it's settled down to, well, it hasn't settled down. It's still going down, but it is the hysteria of the new thing that was going to change the world. It's now off because it's not new and they ain't changed shit. So that's when you lose the people who were, oh, it'll be a great weekend. We'll go to Chicago, and it'll be a great weekend. We'll go to Las Vegas. And we don't want to go to Hershey. I mean, that's the thing. It couldn't last forever. And they had to be interesting, and they're not interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting in a different way.
And the Elite versus the Moxley bunch is not going to draw a house, especially not a stadium show. And then you ask yourself why you're running that stadium when you could run a smaller building. And I mean, I know they have a deal with Arlington, but still, it's going to be embarrassing if. And we've seen already with AEW the law of diminishing returns for big shows. Arthur Ashe, and of course London.
Well, and the thing is, you mentioned, what's the main event? I know a lot of people will say, well, it's the brand. We want to see that. That was the thing with the first All In. They just wanted to see it. It was a happening, as we said at the time. It's historic, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like, well, yeah, the next time, and then the next time don't take place. You need an attraction. And whether it was the Freebirds and the Von Erichs, or whether it was Austin and Rock, or whether it was, depending on the era, Fritz and Dory Funk Jr. ran stadium shows and sold more tickets than this one is set up for. But it has to be an attraction, and they haven't got one. And at the same time, and we'll talk about Survivor Series in a minute, but they did the small set gimmick because they said, fuck, we're just going to sell all these tickets. And the company that can't put 5,000 people in most places is running stadiums, and the other company is having to make their goddamn set smaller to accommodate all the fucking people and cram them in. I think they ought to call a WWE and say, hey, you want to sublet a couple of these stadiums, guys? And like the idea that Terry Funk had with Jerry Jarrett. At one time, Terry Funk called Jerry Jarrett and said, in the territory days, when the biggest day of the year for the territories was Thanksgiving, Terry called Jerry and said, Jerry, let's fuck all of them. I'm not going to do the voice either. Let's rent all the major arenas in all of the territories' home base and get them under contract so all the promoters will have to rent the buildings from us. And Jerry said, well, Terry, that's a great idea, but what about if they just say, fuck it, we're going to stay home. We'll be on the hook to run all those fucking buildings. And Terry's, never mind. Maybe they ought to call the WWE and say, hey, we got a stadium in Australia, low mileage, cool air, doesn't use a lot of oil. We can get it for you cheap. And there's one in Texas. Boy, take these off our hands.
You know, the problem is, again, AEW's early success was unsustainable and the pandemic happened. So whatever momentum was there kind of got capped. But they're still in a position where they need to build interest in the brand and in the wrestlers. And it doesn't happen. Instead, you keep getting these Field of Dreams scenarios. You know, if you promote it, they will come. But they're not coming. And, you know, again, I hate to repeat myself, however I put that.
Well, I don't mind repeating myself. I do it often, but you do you.
But it's never going to get any better. This is Tony Khan. This is the Tony Khan show. The good and the bad. This is the Tony Khan show. So nothing's going to really ever logically be done in a logical way.
Well, but you know what? Right now, if you're on the AEW roster, if you just say, you know, Tony, I really think that creative doesn't work for me, bro. I'm gonna go home for a little while, and you know where to send my check, and I'll get some ideas together. If you're one of those people, you're home, you got a lot of time on your hands, and you realize that maybe long term you need a new career, I think you need to go to Shopify.com. Don't you, Brian? Wouldn't you send everybody that you know and trust and respect and love and hope for the best? You'd send them to Shopify.com, wouldn't you?
Why, certainly. In fact, I've sent myself there working on something that the listeners will hear about pretty soon, some fun, cool projects.
Well, that's because we don't send people to anything that we don't go to, except everybody knows I don't go to anything, but you go to a lot of shit. That makes up for the both of us.
That's
and folks,
right, yes.
If you've got some time on your hands and you want to make some money and you want to get away from being under the thumb of the man, the regime that's holding you down from your creative brilliance, such as the roster of AEW, well, then you go to Shopify.com because they do selling better than any old body. They're the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. They are the platform with which you can take your idea, your concepts, your products, your business, and you can multiply that thing like a bunch of horny rabbits all over the globe. And you will have people sending you money from Peoria to Pakistan and everywhere to the Isle of Man and all places in between until you have a malfunction at the junction. But right now, if you go to Shopify.com/JCE, what you're going to be able to do is get a $1 a month trial period that shows you that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. And if you've ever been in business, then you know that those conversions are the most important thing in converting things. And they're the home of the number one checkout on the planet, as I mentioned, because they make people check out your stuff. Right, Brian? Everybody's checking out your stuff as long as you're with Shopify.
Well, when you know that you're purchasing something and it's a Shopify business, it's a Shopify store, you feel a sense of relief. You kind of know that it's on the money.
Yes.
And I certainly
you can go in the door either realistically in a brick and mortar place or metaphorically on the internet. You can go in with the thought that you're going to have a happy ending at that store. You're going to feel a sense of relief. You're going to be taken care of like you're a babe in arms and swaddled, and then you'll spend all your money and you'll have a wonderful time doing it. And the person behind that Shopify store will be that much closer to retirement, kicking their feet up, living a life of luxury, until at some point the IRS closes in and realizes that you have falsified your tax records, and then it could be dark from that point on. But that's not Shopify's fault. You're just a crook. So right now, folks, upgrade your business and get the same type of checkout as all the major players use. Sign up for a $1 a month trial period at shopify.com/JCE, all lowercase. Again, shopify.com/JCE, and you will hear nothing but the cha-ching, cha-cha-cha-ching of sales, because people are going to send you money for a variety of things. You'll be able to sell everything in your house. You can sell the wife, sell the kids, liquefy everything. Move to Brazil, change your identity. All through Shopify.
Open a business and sell your goods to the fine people out there with money to spend with Shopify. One more time, without any additional commentary, how do people access that, Jim?
They just go to shopify.com/JCE. Have you never wanted to sell everything and move to Brazil and change your identity?
I'm pretty happy where I am.
Well, most people are happy if you'll stay there.
Hey,
Shopify.
That's not nice.